Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Visit to the Unknown from Tensei Shitara Slime Talk, and so without any ado let's begin. Visit to the Unknown, 16 Unreasonable Child Part 1. There were many times that Zaza believed he could no longer be surprised. It was a world where resources were scarce, and yet Ramirez could create water. Beretta had repaired machines that anyone else would have found difficult, and he had done it as if it were the simplest thing. And Feldera brought out food from who knew where. None of this was normal, and yet it had only been the beginning. Carmen and his team had been feared by all, and yet Beretta had subdued them easily. And Ramirez had utilized strange and unexplainable phenomenon as if it were the most natural thing. And when Feldera had punched and driven back super beasts that were seen as the embodiment of despair, Zaza had sworn that he would not be shocked again. Even when the tanks had been altered and they created the buses, Zaza had held back his words and stayed silent. Well, maybe he had said a few things, but he had held back as much as he could. Feldera and the others were clearly strange. They could not be measured by this world's standards. He understood that. So there was no point in being shocked by every single thing. That being said, how is this possible? Why? How? Really, how is any of this happening? Zaza could only shout as he saw what was happening in front of him. After all, they were currently being surrounded by the fires of hell. Their lives should have been burned away. That is what should have been happening. But it wasn't hot at all. He was not even uncomfortable. It did not seem real. Zaza wondered if he was dreaming. Yes, I must have died. A dream. This is a dream. No wonder it is not hot. I died, and am continuing to see the world due to all of my regrets. He tried very hard to persuade himself that this was true. However, Feldera laughed in his face. Ka ha 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 ha. Oh, Zaza. You really are quite stupid. You should face reality and accept it, . Exactly. I don't know why they thought something like this would work with Master right here. Feldera and Ramirez said as if hearing his thoughts. Zaza was annoyed. Something like this? It was clearly a state of emergency. It should have been the end for them. It should have been too late. But how can I accept this? Ho. How is this even happening? Zaza shouted the question. Ramirez nodded. Master. I would like to know as well. I was surprised. Just a little, but I was still surprised. What exactly is happening right now? I want you to explain it. Ramirez was relieved that she was protected, but she had been surprised just like Zaza. She was flying around Feldera now and asking him to explain it. Feldera nodded as if it could not be helped. I suppose I must then. But it's just as it looks. As planned, I have created a diversion. We have triggered their trap on purpose and created this wonderful display of flames. They will all be looking at us now. So the plan is going well. Feldera said in a confident voice. Zaza and Ramirez looked at each other in shock. The others of the resistance watched them and gulped. They were also confused by what was happening and did not know how to react. Zaza had responsibilities. It wasn't just the diversion team that Zaza led that was here. Many veteran warriors had been sent from the other bases to join them. Sharma had spent the previous night persuading them into action. There would be no future for them if they did not move now. And so they had sent soldiers as if this were the final battle. And they were here now, under Zaza's command. So in a way, their lives were in his hands. Zaza saw that they were looking at him and so he opened his mouth with determination. In other words, we've been caught in the enemy's trap. And it was just as we want. Yes? So, while it may not feel like it, the temperature around us is exceeding 30 million degrees, how are we still alive? Zaza asked Feldera hesitantly. He sounded polite, but there was something reserved about it, as if he wasn't wholly accepting what he was saying yet. Zaza's brain was measuring insane temperatures around them. Considering the immense amount of energy, it was as if a gigaton-level atomic bomb had gone off. He should have been shocked at his enhanced calculating ability, but Zaza was solely focused on the results. It was hard to believe, yet. There were 6 points where the ether ring barrier occurred. It used the heat as its energy source. As long as the heat rays continued to burn wildly, it would not disappear. It would continue to stay up in the shape of a sphere. And it was in this secluded inner space that the immense energy was being sealed in. It was energy that defied imagination and turned all manner of matter into dust. The explosive atomic energy that occurred at the 6 points was sealed away from the rest of the atmosphere, and so it pushed its way to the center. There was no place to escape. Those who were trapped within would be exposed to the burning heat. And when the pressure and impact that destroyed everything was added, well, that's what should have been happening. 6. Tyrant. This trap that Felderus spoke of, it must be the strongest of the Empire's weapons. Zaza had guessed as much. And so, why are we all alive? That was the emotion that he could not hide. They were inside of the super weapon and yet they could see and talk to one another. Why? It was so absurd and removed from reality. He didn't even know where to begin if he were to ask questions. Still, Felderus' reaction had been to tell him that he was being stupid. That was rather rude. It did not seem like a matter of stupidity. You idiot. Use your head for once. As I already said, I knew there would be a trap. So why wouldn't I take the necessary measures to deal with it? No. First of all, at what point did you know there would be a trap? Feldera answered casually, but Feldera was quick to reply. Indeed, Zaza was also wary of a trap. But they hadn't been sure that there would be one. And so he had asked. What? Clearly, that Jejil woman was lying. I was so sure that you had all noticed. But, could it be that you didn't? Again, Feldera answered as if this were a very simple thing. Zaza turned to Ramaris for help. Lord Ramaris, did you know about it? Huh? Me? Oh, of course. Yes. That woman was suspicious from the start. Ramaris's eyes shifted uncomfortably as she said this. Zaza's instincts told him that she was lying, but he was a nice grown-up, and so he said nothing. In any case, Ramaris was clearly of no help here. While Feldera looked incredibly bored with the subject, he would have to get him to explain. Lord Feldera, sir. If you would, could you explain to me how you found out about the trap and why you came to suspect Jejil? Zaza asked him directly. As Feldera's actions were dictated by his moods, he might just refuse, but there was nothing else Zaza could do. They were currently trapped, and unless the heat around them died down, the ether ring barrier would just stay up forever. Surprisingly, Feldera answered Zaza's question good-humoredly. All right then. After all, it will take a little more time for my paradox to control this energy storm. So I will explain it to you as a way of killing time. Feldera said haughtily as he began. Some of the words made no sense to Zaza, but it had always been that way. And so Zaza listened without interrupting him. While Feldera was a moody person, he was currently in a very good one. And so he answered Zaza rather cheerfully. The thing that had roused his suspicion was Jejil's timing. She had arrived right after them. It was almost like she was begging them to suspect her. And according to her explanation, Michelle had been captured. Feldera could not help but wonder at this as well. However, she said that General Michelle wasn't able to use her whole power, for fear of doing damage to the city. Well, then. Why didn't she escape? If Jejil could escape, then surely Michelle would not have had a problem. Well, I thought it was because of General Kristoff, the strongest of warriors. It was because General Michelle held him back that Jejil was allowed to escape. Zaza protested, but Feldera shook his head. Look here. Michelle's power is great. I think she may be stronger than Beretta. I was not able to replicate it in the battle bodies I gave you and Carmen. That means there is some secret to her power reactor that even Ramaris was unable to analyze. But never mind that. The point is, there is no way I would not have noticed that someone with so much power had entered a state of battle. I am sure of it. Within the last few days, I have not detected any such immense energy. In other words, no battle occurred. He said very smugly. It was the truth. Feldera was attempting to decipher the laws of this world, and so he would have immediately detected energy of that level. And so he felt that this was proof that Michelle had not engaged in any battle. As someone who had noticed this, Feldera was hoping to earn the respect of Zaza and the others. He felt very good about how things were playing out. This was his biggest opportunity yet. Yes, I see it now. While they are still our best work to date, the power output was not what I expected. I think, maybe the diverted engine, the thermonuclear reactor, is at its limit. Ramaris, we're not talking about that now. The current issue is why Jejil wanted us to think Michelle had been captured. Why? What do you mean? Feldera was also interested in the engine, but they could talk about that later. Feldera continued to talk in order that Zaza and the others could understand his greatness. I don't know how much of what Jejil said is true, but what would be their reason for keeping Michelle alive? Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more content.